my money matters. And I think there's too much disconnect between who people choose to spend their money with and what other options they have. Like, we take for granted that someone chooses to stay at our hotel or chooses us to make their movies or commercials. Everybody has a choice. They have a choice to pick you. Even if you've got the market cornered, they can just choose not to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, we've gotten to this point where we see their money, but we don't see them. And then when you keep looking at the money, you keep waiting for the money to react. Money's never going to react. It's paper. It is a made up thought that we've said, because this person has done X amount of work or inherited X amount of revenue from work previous generations have done, their value is worth this. And since their value is worth this, they can give this much of their value to people. It's all theoretical. I mean, you see this more and more now that we're not trading goods and cash and gold anymore. We're typing numbers in a computer and sending it back and forth. And I think that's what's disconnected us. I know you guys talk about your bartering endeavors. And I think that really gets people back to being able to visualize worth to things.
Sure.
Because when your money is just an amount of numbers on a screen in a bank that you've never stepped foot in, I can't tell you the last time I've actually gone into a Chase bank, or, you know, I don't even really handle cash personally. Like at work, people will still use cash, but cash used to mean something when you'd have to count out that money, because it's a physical reminder of the work that you've done.
Sure.
But now as we've gotten in this advanced age where, you know, I was adding up my Grubhub for the week, and once I crossed that $200 threshold, I was like, how? It's Wednesday. How? The idea of it is, it's not, it would have been a lot harder if I had to go to those restaurants and hand them that money instead of I just pick up my phone and say, I want chicken wings, so I'm going to hit this amount of buttons, and it tells me chicken wings are going to be here in this amount of time, and then they show up.
Right.
And it's not until like I'm looking at reconciling because rent's due on Sunday that I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I should have, well, I'm several hundreds of dollars lower than what I thought. And then I start looking at stuff and I'm like, I really spent $50 on that? Why would I spend $50? And it's because at the time I didn't even think about the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that same mentality about spending money, which I am the worst person to ever consult about spending money.
It's true, folks.
I
said it's true, folks.
Oh yeah, just the absolute worst. If this conversation detoured into financial planning and smart investments, I would just close my computer and go spend money.
Let's go spend money.
Drown your sorrows in some food.
Yeah, but like to me, it's because I no longer handle it. I no longer have to think about it. So it's the same way with service. When your service is tied back to a representation of you, if that's disconnected into just another cog in a wheel, you don't think about it. You don't think about it until enough of you has been drained away for the sake of productivity or profitability that you're like, what has become of me?
Yeah.
You know? And that's really where I try to make it matter. And you could ask any one of the people who've ever worked for me, some probably not so much. But the difference between me and other colleagues, other employers is I look you in the eyes and my word is my bond. It used to be a time a man's handshake was as good as a contract, especially in the city of Chicago. And I still take that to heart because I'm only as good as my word. And my word doesn't mean anything if my word changes depending on what's profitable or what's productive. Yeah. My word has to be my word. My values have to matter. And I think that's part of not only what is deflating my industry. I mean, the pandemic decimated the hospitality industry, not because it's an invisible virus that is harming and killing people. but because we decided that this industry is able to be sacrificed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember the most gut-wrenching words to me were after St. Patrick's Day, when everybody, self-included, didn't abide by the government's mandates that we not congregate in bars because it was St. Patrick's Day and nobody was thinking it was real. We're America, we're untouchable. This affects third world countries. It doesn't affect us. And I remember a reporter interviewing the current occupant of the White House and asking, what do you say to the restaurant and service industry people who fear their company won't come back? Looked her square in the eyes and said, it'll come back, and maybe under different ownership and a different name, but it'll come back. And it wasn't him, it wasn't his words, it was the truth of it that kind of cut me to my gut, is everything is sacrificial if the price is right.
Mm-hmm.
If it makes more sense to let the current industry die, and then your venture capitalists, your hedge funds, your REITs come in and buy it next to nothing and make it what they want to be and call it laissez-faire, then so be it. But I don't believe that in the world's first democracy and oldest democracy, in the world's once superpower and world power, that anybody that's working and following a passion and a dream should be sacrificed for profitability. I think we as a people, and not just Americans, just as the world, we've forgotten people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We've, and for all of its advantages and developments, technology, artificial intelligence, things like that, have cost us a little bit of something. And that little bit of something is each other. We don't connect like we used to, and we don't matter to each other like we used to, because we've replaced profitability with people, or we've replaced people with profitability.